Are you tired of getting injured and running slower as you age? Well, today I'm going to go over how to prevent running injuries as you age and three things that you can do today to fix that. Hi, I'm Herb the Forever Runner. I'm a two-time heart attack survivor, ultra marathoner, and running coach. And I'm on a mission to help runners over 50 effortlessly run faster without getting injured. For the last 30 years or so of running, for me, I always adhered to the no gain without pain mantra that comes from the health and fitness industry. And I was out there every training run. I tried to run faster than the last one. I did intervals on the track till I puked. I ran high mileage to build that endurance. And, I've never been an elite athlete, but I was successful. And I ended up, around 50 years old being a 3:20 marathoner, but I was constantly getting injured. I was always stiff and sore and didn't feel good. And the funny thing was, with all that running, I was still 10 pounds overweight. But right after I turned 50, I had a heart attack. And at that time, my doctor said, well, you need to be on a low-fat, high-carb diet. Well, that, made sense at the time. And I also got into trail running and ultra marathoning. So there I did. I just continued on doing the same things I'd done for 30 years before, and had some success in ultra marathons as an age grouper. But at the age of 62, I had a second heart attack. That's when I took a step back and said, I'm doing something wrong here. Something has to change. And that's when I discovered Dr. Phil Maffetone and his Maffetone method. And that's where I realized what I call the big lie. And let me explain what I mean there. All those, for the last 30 years, the health and fitness industry was telling me that you got to have pain or there's no gain. And so, they're telling us to do these things. They're selling these programs to do these things. And, there's no wonder, what is it? Up to 80% of runners get injured every year. Well, let me tell you what Dr. Phil had to say about that. So Dr. Phil says, the no pain, no gain may be considered an example of herd behavior. It's quite possible that physical injuries, asthma, heart attacks are examples of the biological end result of following the mindset of the masses. Boy, that's where I was. It's kind of like insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting something to change. And, that's basically the treadmill that I've been on, all through till my second heart attack. So here's what I found out. There's three things that I learned, and these are things you can do starting today to continue to run faster and not worry about getting injured, even as you age as a runner over 50 years old. So number one, the first thing is to slow down. So I was always told, you don't get fast unless you run fast. Well, the reality is if you're running any distance over a mile or two, 98% of your energy is coming from your slow twitch muscles and your aerobic system. By training that system to be as efficient as possible, you will be able to run faster even though you're training at a very slow pace or what we would call a low heart rate. So it's a little counterintuitive, but Dr. Maffetone has been using this with 1,000 athletes over 30 years, and it's tried and true. The only difference is for us, if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, it's a little more difficult to get started. So in order for you to start today, all you do is you take your age, subtract it from 180, and that's the heart rate that you should be doing all of your training runs at or below that heart rate, and especially during the base training phase. And I know if you're an older runner, that's going to be pretty difficult to do, but that's what I learned, but that's what I help people with. So if you want to try that and it isn't working for you, you can just get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to kind of talk with you, or you can go into my coaching program in order to learn the full meal deal. But the first thing to do is you need to slow down. Now, the second thing is to not run too far. You know, we get these pre-printed training plans that say you have to run this mileage this day, this mileage the next day, this mileage this weekend. And we feel that in order to get better, we have to follow this plan. You know, this plan was written for who knows who. But, you know, for you to follow that plan religiously is only going to get you in trouble. The reality is as soon as your form starts to break down, you should stop your run. So there's no benefit of running longer than that, because once your form breaks down, you start creating these little muscle imbalances, which leads to injury. And there's no performance benefit to that. So take and listen to your body when you're out running, and take note of especially on your longer runs, when your form starts to break down, and from then on, shorten your runs to stay within that range where you're running with good form. That's where the performance gains are going to come from. So the third thing is to recover. Again, if you're following some sort of pre-printed plan, or you like to run every day, as you get older, recovery is more important than the actual run training that you're doing. Because without enough recovery, you're going to put yourself into a chronic deficit mode, and you're going to slowly lead yourself into a running injury just from overtraining. And it's surprising how low of a threshold overtraining can be for us older runners. So that means is if you get up in the morning and you really don't feel like running, maybe you shouldn't run, or if you do run, do it at a slower pace or shorter distance, and see how you feel the next day. Now you can use tools like checking your heart rate every day, or the one that I prefer is like an HRV reading where you can see trends over a few days and weeks on your recovery. But pay attention to your body and listen to it. You just don't get benefits from going out there when your body isn't fully rested and ready to do a workout. So those are three things that you can start today. Number one, slow down on your runs, use a low heart rate training protocol to follow. Two, make sure that your runs aren't too long, especially on your long run. Check your running form, shorten it up, and you can build yourself back up just by running more efficiently, and not falling into that bad running form and setting yourself up for a chronic injury later on. And then the third thing is really pay attention to recovery. It's just so important. I can't emphasize it more. So do those three things starting today. If you have any questions on how to go about all this, there's two things you can do. One, just subscribe to this channel. I'll be putting out videos specifically on all the steps and what I call my Forever Runner method, on how to get faster without getting injured. Or you can just click the link in the description to just schedule a call. We can get on a Zoom call and see if coaching is a good thing for you. So do those three things: slow down, make sure you don't run too far, and recover. And I'll see you in the next show.